So good afternoon all, welcome back to the front office practicals. So today we'll be learning how to fill reservation slip for the guests. As we know, reservation is one of the most important document which is used by the front office department, and it has all the details related to the room booking of the guests. As we know that reservation in the hotels can come through various modes and sources. The most important mode is known as your verbal mode, and the second is your written mode. So verbal mode of reservation comprises of all those methods adopted by the guests which have come to the hotel through verbally. So the first method which is adopted in the verbal mode is if the guest has walked in personally to the hotel, he has come directly to the hotel and he is making a room booking. The second is if the guest has sent some another person on his behalf to make a reservation in the hotel, then this will also come under the category of verbal mode. And the third method which is used in the verbal mode is your telephonic conversation. If the guest has made a call to the hotel and he is making a room booking in the hotel, then this will also come under the category of verbal mode of reservation. And if I speak about written mode of reservation comprises of all those methods adopted by the guest to make a room booking in the hotel which have come to the hotel in a written mode, written form. Like if the guest has sent a letter to the hotel, if the guest has sent a fax to the hotel, or if the guest has sent an email to the hotel mentioning his reservation details, then all these will fall under the category of written mode of reservation. Nowadays, the most important I must say mode which is used is emails. The guest can send emails to the hotel, and the reservation agent or the reservation clerk, they check for the reservation through mails, and the guest even sends the correspondence. Now this is very important, correspondence. Correspondence means if the guest has made any certain changes to the arrival or departure, then they can reach the hotel through correspondence. So the correspondence should also be properly checked by the reservation agent in order to make room booking reservations in the hotels. If I speak about the different sources of reservation, sources means all those places from where the reservation has come to the hotel. The various sources of reservation which are quite important, which are used nowadays are hotel representatives, travel agents, tour operators, corporate houses, company houses, public houses. All these are regarded as different sources of. So in this video we are going to fill the reservation slip for the guest, FIT guest basically. Enjoy the video and learn how to fill the reservation slip for the guests. Thank you. So we have to take the reservation slip first of all. As you can see, this is the reservation slip which is used in the hotels nowadays. So as we can see, this is the format of the reservation slip which is used in the hotels, most of the hotels. The another slip which is used in the hotels is known as your amendment slip or a cancellation slip. We'll discuss it later on. So the reservation slip form, we have to enter the first name, the middle name, the last name of the guest over here, as we can receive these details in the correspondences or the emails or the fax or personally which is given by the guest. All the information has to be entered in the reservation slip. So as you can see, the first name, middle name, last name has to be entered in block letters for the guest. The address of the guest, the company name. Now this is very important in the case of corporate guests. Company name has to be told by the guests in order to get discounts, in order to get special rate which is known as CVGR, company volume guaranteed rate. The hotels give certain discounts to the guests who are coming to different companies. The next thing is arrival date and departure date. Now the guest makes a particular reservation for a particular date, future period of time. That is known as that process is known as your reservation. The reservation is handled by the reservation section of the front office department, and normally the people who work over here are the reservation agents or the reservation clerks. So as we can see, the arrival date is mentioned over here. We have to write the day. We have to write expected time of arrival. We even have to give the details about the guest who is coming to the hotel. How will he reach the hotel? The flight number, the train number. If the guest is coming on his own, then we have to write self, and we have to write the number of the vehicle by which he is arriving in the hotel, by which he is expected to reach the hotel. The next column is a departure. You can see the departure date has to be mentioned, the day has to be mentioned, the expected time of departure has to be mentioned, and again the same. If the guest is departing through a flight or a train, then we have to write down the detail of the flight and the train over here. The next thing which is mentioned in the reservation slip is accommodation and rate desired. Now as we can see, there are different type of accommodation which are available for the guests in the hotel. There are plenty of rooms in the hotel. There are plenty of suites which are available for the guest to accommodate. Like if we speak, there are different type of rooms, like single room is there, double room is there, twin room is there. Now if we speak about suites, suites can be your junior suite, it can be your president or a penthouse suite. Now these are the different accommodations which are available for the guest in the hotel. Now the guest gives the information about the type of room in the reservation method which is adopted by the guest. If the guest has requested for single room, we have to tick on the single part. If the guest has requested for a double room, then we have to tick on double. If the guest has requested for twin room, we have to tick on twin. And if the guest has requested for any suite, then we have to tick on the suite part. The next thing is rate. Now if I speak about rate, this is quite important again. We have rack rate in the hotel which is adopted for the rooms basically. Rack rate is the standard rate of the room which is mentioned on the tariff sheet of the hotel, and further discounts are given on the rack rate. So over here, the best agreed rate for the guest is given over here. So if the guest is coming through any agency like companies, airlines, we give certain discounts to the guest. The rate over here which has to be mentioned will be the rate after deductions or after giving discounts to the guests. And we have to write the supporting taxes also which are levied on the room charges to the guests. The next thing we have to mention on the reservation slip is occupancy. Occupancy means that how many guests will be staying in a particular room. That is the meaning of occupancy. If the guest is coming alone and he has made a booking for himself alone, then we have to tick on the single room, single occupancy. And if two guests are staying, like husband and wife are coming to the hotel and they have requested for a room, then we have to tick on the double occupancy part. Now the next thing which has to be mentioned on the reservation slip is special remarks or requests. The special remarks consist of all those preferences of the guest which a guest wants the hotel to fulfill for his side, for his part. If the guest has requested a room on a higher floor, then the detail has to be mentioned over here. If the guest has requested a room which is on the lower floor, then the details has to be mentioned again over here. Some guests are quite allergic to some food items, like some guests are allergic to ginger and garlic, and they request the hotel not to serve ginger and garlic in the food. So all those requests has to be fulfilled over here and it has to be maintained over here. The same information has to be spread out to the concerned departments. Maybe it is the housekeeping department, food production department, or the food and beverage service department. The next most important thing is billing instructions. Billing instructions means a mode of payment. At the time of checkout, the guest has to settle his bill and he can use various modes of reservation. If the guest has asked for cash, then we have to mention cash over here. And if the guest is settling the bill by credit card, we have to mention the credit card details over here. Suppose if the guest is settling by credit card, he has to pay. Then billing instructions will be mentioning credit card over here. We have to write down the credit card number over here. The credit card number is normally 13 to 16 digits. We have to mention it over here. The name of the company. The credit card belongs to which company? The most acceptable credit cards in the hotels which are used in the nowadays are Visa, MasterCard, Diners Club, American Express. So the hotel should have contract with all these credit card companies. So we have to write down the detail of credit card over here. Then we have to write down the expiry date of the credit card. Now this is very important part again. If the card has been expired, we cannot authorize that card and we cannot take certain amount of money from that card. So we should check that the credit card which has been provided by the guest for the time of checkout for bill settlement, it should have a longer validity so that we can approve and authorize that card and we can charge the amount to that card accordingly. The next thing over here you can see requested by, received by and date. So requested by, the name of that person who is giving the reservation, the name of that person will be mentioned over here. Received by will have the name of that reservation agent or a clerk who is receiving the reservation, and the date will mention the particular date when the reservation has been received by the hotel. The date will be mentioned over here. Now if the guest wants to have certain changes to the reservation which he has made earlier, then that is known as your amendments. That is known as your revision. It can be also known as modifications. So for that we use a particular separate slip which is known as your revision slip or a cancellation slip. As you can see over here, whatever the case can be, if the case is of revision, amendments, modifications, we have to tick on the revision part, and if the guest has cancelled his booking, that is a case of cancellation, we have to tick on the cancellation part. So if, for example, the guest has made certain changes, he is revising the reservation, so we have to tick on the reservation revision part. We have to write down the name of the guest, we have to write down the address, And as here it is mentioned, the original reservation and revision. If the changes can be mainly in the context of arrival date, departure date, and the room type and number, so we have to mention the original reservation over here, which has been created before the changes. And revision will comprise of all the changes which has been done for the guest as per his request. The changes can be, as I told you, the revision can be done on room number, room type, arrival date, departure date, and we have to again mention the name who has received the revision slip, the revision request which has been given by the guest, received by who has received, the agent, the reservation agent or the clerk who has received the amendment details, and the date when the revision and cancellation has been accepted by the hotel. The date has to be mentioned over here. Suppose we have received, this is just an example, we have received a reservation of the guest. It says, Mr. John William Campbell has made a reservation in your hotel by calling on 18th September 2020 from 25th September 2020 to 30th September 2020. He belongs to the United States of America and works in a company named Procter & Gamble. He is coming along with his wife and would be reaching the hotel by 11:30 a.m. He wants a double room which has a view of swimming pool. The rack rate of the double room is 35,000 plus taxes. He is quite allergic to ginger and garlic and has his birthday on 25th September 2020. He would be settling his bills by Visa credit card number 4563-4920-4902-8725. The expiry date of the card is October 29. Create a reservation for the above mentioned guest on the reservation slip. So the reservation agent, the reservation clerk receives all the details of the guest. After these details, the guest can even send correspondences for certain changes or modifications which has to be done on the reservation slip. So we'll be filling the reservation slip for the same guest. The guest name is Mr. John William Campbell. So we have to write down the first name, the middle name, and the last name of the guest in capital letters. As we can see, the address is given United States of America. The guest belongs to a company which is known as Procter & Gamble. So how we'll fill that? We have to write down the name of the company. Procter & Gamble. Arrival date and departure date. As we can see, the detail, the guest will be coming on 25th September and he'll be leaving on 30th September 2020. So the arrival date which has to be mentioned is 25th September 2020 and the date is Friday, and he has given an expected time of arrival as 11:30 a.m. So we have to write down 11:30 a.m. over here. Now the guest is coming by his own car, so we have to write down self, and we have to write down the car number as well and the contact number again if the guest is coming through a driver. The next thing which has to be mentioned is departure date. As we can see, the departure date which has been given by the guest is 30th of September and the day is Wednesday. And expected time of departure would be the checkout time. Normally it can be 12 noon and he'll be going by his own car. If the guest is accompanied by a driver, he is coming through a taxi, then the detail of the taxi number and the detail of the driver has to be mentioned over here. The next thing is accommodation and rate desired. As we can see, he is coming along with his wife and he requires a double room. So we have to tick on the double part. Now, as we can see, the rack rate of the double room is given how much? 35,000 plus taxes. The reservation agent checks how much discount percentage do we give to certain companies. That rate is called as your CVGR, company volume guaranteed rate. If the guest who comes from Procter & Gamble company, they are getting a discount of 10%, then we have to calculate 10% over here. So that will be, so the discount which is given to the guest is 3,500. So we have to calculate the best agreed rate for the guest. That will be 35,000 minus 3,500, that is 31,500 rupees plus taxes. Nowadays GST is included in the room basically. Earlier it used to be luxury tax. So we have to mention the taxes also over here so that the guest comes to know how much best agreed rate is provided to him. As we know, he is coming along with his wife. So we have to tick on the double occupancy part because he is coming along with his wife. Now special remarks and requests are filled over here. Now the guest has requested for 3 requests. The first request which he wants is, he wants a view of a swimming pool, and he is quite allergic to ginger and garlic and has his birthday on 25th September 2020. So all the details has to be mentioned in this special remarks request so that we can provide efficient services to the guests in order to make him a repeat guest and to get reservations for the future time. View of swimming pool. Allergic to ginger and garlic. And birthday on 25th September 2020. So the hotel provides efficient services for these guests, this guest, as per the request and the remarks given by him, to provide him better services every time. Now the next thing is billing instruction. As we know that the guest will be settling his bill by Visa credit card, we have to write down the mode of payment adopted by the guest at the time of checkout. We can write down credit card, and we have to write down the credit card number which has been provided by the guest. The name of the company and the expiry date of the card. So next thing which we have to mention on the reservation slip is requested by, the name of the person who is making the reservation on his behalf. It can be name of the guest or he can be somebody else who is making reservation for guest. Suppose the person name is Mr. James who is making a reservation on his behalf. We have written down the name, Mr. James. You can write down the contact number of the guest also for future references. Received by, over here, the name of the reservation agent or the clerk who has received the reservation details for the guest has to be mentioned. And finally, the date has to be mentioned over here when the reservation has arrived the hotel, when reached the hotel. So this was the method. These were the details which has to be mentioned on the reservation slip for the FIT guest. And all these details has to be entered carefully, clearly, so that they can be transferred into software of the hotel. Once we have entered the software reservation details in the software, then a reservation number comes for individual guest. For each reservation, reservation has a unique number which is forwarded to the guest in the letter of confirmation. So this was the method of filling reservation slip for the guest in the hotel. Thank you for watching the video. Hope to see you again. Have a nice day. Thank you.